I thought 10 years of marriage meant something. Then my wife mentioned her college ex, transferred to her office. Late nights became routine. New perfume. Deleted texts. When the PI handed me those hotel photos, I knew. But the medical records I found, that's when I realized she'd been lying since day one. I disappeared before she came home, left her nothing but silence and the truth she couldn't hide anymore. My name is Mitchell Carson. I'm 42 years old, and for the last 10 years, I've been married to Sharon. Beautiful, ambitious, the kind of woman who could command a room just by walking into it. We met 12 years ago at a charity fundraiser. I was a junior safety consultant scraping by, and she was an entry-level marketing coordinator with Texas-sized dreams. We built something together, or so I thought. A decade of shared holidays, mortgage payments, weekend barbecues with her 3 kids from her first marriage. James, 17. Elijah, 14. Camila, 8. Good kids. I love them like my own blood, even without adoption papers. Sharon always said we didn't need paperwork to be family. I work as an industrial safety consultant. Factories, warehouses, chemical plants, anywhere heavy machinery could take someone's limb. Steady work, decent pay. Sharon climbed faster than I did. Started in marketing, worked her way up to partner relations manager at Technova Solutions downtown. Glass walls, fancy espresso machines, the whole 9 yards. She traveled constantly. Seattle, Austin, San Francisco. Always stories about difficult clients and late-night strategy sessions. I never questioned it. Why would I? That's who she was. Driven. But that's when it started. The unraveling I didn't notice. It was a Thursday night in late September when she mentioned him. Kyle. We were eating takeout Chinese at the kitchen table. Kids upstairs doing homework. Sharon was scrolling her phone between bites of lo mein. Casual as anything. Guess who got transferred to our department? She said. Ooh, Kyle Stevens. Remember? College boyfriend. We dated like a year at UT Austin. Small world, right? The name stirred something in my memory. She'd mentioned him years ago, back when we traded stories like baseball cards. Ancient history. Harmless. Huh. That is a small world. You too cool with that? Yeah. It was forever ago. We're professionals now. Not weird at all. She smiled, but something about it felt rehearsed. Careful. Like she was testing me to see if I'd react. I didn't. Just nodded. Took another bite. Changed the subject to HOA fees or some other boring nonsense. That was my first mistake. Over the next few weeks, Kyle's name crept into every conversation. Kyle and I are working on this partnership deal. Kyle thinks we should pivot strategy. Kyle's handling the San Jose client. I'd half listen while reviewing inspection reports or fixing the leaky bathroom faucet. Sharon seemed more energized than she'd been in months. I figured it was the excitement of landing big contracts. Technova was growing, and Sharon was right in the thick of it. Then the late night started. Once a week became twice. Then normal. She'd text at 7, 8, 9 at night. Client dinner ran long. Last-minute strategy meeting. Kyle and I need to finish this presentation. I'd eat alone, kids scattered to their rooms, her plate wrapped in foil on the counter getting cold. I didn't think much of it. Not at first. But then other things started piling up. New heels. More makeup. Perfume I didn't recognize. Phone always face down. Snatched up the second it buzzed. She'd flinch when I touched her shoulder, like she forgot I existed. That's when I knew something was wrong. Really wrong. The changes came slowly, like water eroding stone. You don't notice it day by day, but then one morning you wake up and realize the landscape's completely different. Sharon started working later. Much later. What began as occasional 7 o'clock arrivals turned into routine 9, sometimes 10 o'clock nights. She'd walk through the door exhausted, claiming client emergencies or presentation deadlines. I'd be sitting in the living room, TV playing something I wasn't really watching, her dinner dried out in the microwave. Long day. I'd ask, "You have no idea," she'd say, kicking off her heels and heading straight for the shower. No kiss. No hug. Just straight to the bathroom. Door locked, water running for 20 minutes. When she came out, she'd be in her robe, hair wet, smelling like hotel soap instead of her usual lavender body wash. She'd grab her phone, scroll through messages, and head to bed without another word. The kids noticed too. Camila asked me one Saturday morning while I was making pancakes, "Why doesn't Mom eat with us anymore?" "She's busy with work, sweetie," I said, flipping a pancake that landed half on the griddle, half on the counter. She's always busy now, Camila said quietly. James, the oldest, didn't say much. But I caught him watching Sharon, sometimes with this look, like he was trying to figure something out. 17-year-old kids see more than you think. They just don't always know what to do with what they see. I tried talking to Sharon about it one night. Waited until the kids were asleep, sat down on the edge of our bed where she was already under the covers, scrolling through her phone. Sharon, can we talk? About what? She said, not looking up. About us. About how we barely see each other anymore. About how you're pulling away. She finally looked at me, and for a second I thought I saw something. Guilt, maybe, or fear. But it vanished quick as it came. Mitchell, I'm building something important at Technova. This partnership with Kyle's client portfolio could change everything for us. I need you to be supportive right now, not needy. Needy. That word sat in my chest like a stone. I'm not being needy, I said carefully. I'm being your husband. There's a difference. Maybe there shouldn't be, she snapped. Then she caught herself, softened her voice. Look, I'm sorry. I'm just stressed. Once this deal closes, things will go back to normal. I promise. But they didn't. They got worse. I started finding receipts in her purse when I grabbed her car keys to move her vehicle for street cleaning. Hotel bars. Expensive restaurants I'd never heard of. Places in downtown districts we'd never been together. One receipt from a steakhouse showed 2 entrees, a bottle of wine that cost more than our weekly grocery bill, and dessert. The date stamp showed a Tuesday night. The same night, she texted me, saying she was working late at the office. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Something told me I needed more than receipts and suspicions. I needed proof. Real, undeniable proof. That's when I called Tommy Brennan, an old buddy from my Navy days who now ran a private investigation firm out of a strip mall office near the airport. We met for coffee at a diner halfway between our houses. You sure you want to do this? Tommy asked, stirring sugar into his black coffee. No, I said honestly. But I need to know. Tommy nodded. Give me 2 weeks. If there's something to find, I'll find it. I paid him half up front in cash. Drove home feeling like I just made a deal with the devil. But sometimes you have to look into the darkness to see what's really there. 2 weeks felt like 2 years. I went through the motions. Work, dinner with the kids, pretending everything was normal while my gut twisted tighter every day. Sharon kept up her routine of late nights and weekend strategy sessions. I kept my mouth shut and waited for Tommy's call. It came on a Friday afternoon while I was inspecting a chemical plant outside Austin. My phone buzzed. Tommy's name on the screen. Got something for you, he said. Meet me at the office. 6 o'clock. I finished the inspection on autopilot, signed off on paperwork I barely read, and drove straight to Tommy's strip mall office. He was waiting with a manila envelope thick enough to hurt. You want the summary or the full breakdown? Tommy asked, leaning back in his chair. Just tell me. He pulled out photos. Sharon and Kyle at a restaurant, sitting too close. Sharon getting into Kyle's car after work. More photos from a hotel parking garage. Timestamps showing them entering at 7 p.m., not leaving until midnight. 3 different hotels over 2 weeks. Always the same pattern. There's more, Tommy said, sliding over printed emails he'd pulled from Sharon's work account through a contact in IT security. This partnership she keeps talking about. It's real, but it's not just business. Look at this. The emails made my stomach drop. Messages between Sharon and Kyle discussing client entertainment packages. There were clearly something else entirely. Code words. Arrangements for VIP experiences with wealthy tech executives. My wife wasn't just cheating. She was part of something bigger, something that made my safety consulting job look like child's play. What exactly is Technova? I asked. Front company, Tommy said. Legitimate tech, consulting on paper, but they run a high-end operation for corporate clients on the side. Your wife and Kyle coordinate these arrangements. Very exclusive, very expensive, very illegal if anyone ever looked too close. I sat there processing it all. The woman I'd married, the mother figure to 3 kids, was living a completely different life. And Kyle wasn't just her lover. He was her partner in this whole operation. There's one more thing, Tommy said carefully. I ran background on Kyle Stevens. His real last name is Patterson. He changed it legally 8 years ago. Why does that matter? Because Patterson was Sharon's maiden name from her first marriage. Kyle Stevens is actually Kyle Patterson, her first husband's younger brother. That husband who supposedly died? He's alive, Mitchell, serving 15 years in federal prison for securities fraud. This whole thing, you being with Sharon, the kids, all of it, it was a setup from start. The room tilted. Everything I thought I knew shattered like glass hitting concrete. The kids I managed. Elijah, the middle one, 14 years old. Tommy nodded slowly. I already ran the timeline. If Kyle and Sharon were involved before you met her, and Elijah was born 9 months after Kyle left for California supposedly, then yeah, it's possible. Give me a DNA test, I said. Quietly. I need to know. Already order the kit. Should arrive at your P.O. box Tuesday. I walked out of that office a different man than the one who walked in. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. For 3 days I moved through life like a ghost, watching Sharon come and go, watching the kids laugh and argue and live their lives, knowing everything was built on lies. The DNA kit arrived Tuesday like Tommy promised. I swabbed Elijah's water bottle when he left in the living room, sealed it up, and sent it off with my own sample. But something else was gnawing at me, something I'd ignored for years. Sharon and I had tried for a baby early in our marriage. She wanted one of our own. She said, something to cement our family. Month after month, nothing happened. We didn't push it. She had 3 kids already. I had a demanding job, and eventually we just stopped trying, stopped talking about it. But now, with everything crumbling, I needed to know, was it her, or was it me? I made an appointment with Dr. Reynolds, my GP for the last decade, told him I wanted a full workup, fertility testing included. He seemed surprised but didn't ask questions. A week later, I sat in his office staring at results that changed everything. Mitchell, you have a condition called azoospermia, Dr. Reynolds explained gently. No sperm production. Based on these markers, it's congenital. You've had this your entire life. There's no way you could have fathered children naturally. The words hit like a physical blow. Ever? I could never. I'm sorry. No, not without medical intervention. That would have been very obvious. IVF, surgical extraction, things you definitely remember doing. I drove home in a daze. 10 years of marriage. 10 years of believing we were building something real. And Sharon knew. She had to have known. The early attempts to get pregnant, her suddenly dropping the subject. She'd figure it out somehow and never said a word. Never told me I was sterile. Just let me believe I was part of this family, part of these kids' lives, while she played house and ran her schemes with Kyle. When I got home, Sharon's car was gone. The kids were at school. I went to our bedroom and started looking, really looking. In the back of her closet, hidden in a shoebox under old tax returns, I found them. Medical records from 9 years ago. Fertility tests. A letter from a clinic addressed to Sharon confirming I had a severe fertility impairment and recommending I see a specialist. She'd known for 9 years, almost our entire marriage, and she never said a word. That's when I made my decision. No confrontation, no dramatic scene. I was going to disappear, and I was going to do it smart. I called my lawyer that afternoon, set up a consultation for the next day. The lawyer's name was Catherine Reeves, a sharp woman in her 50s who'd handled more divorces than most people had birthdays. Her office sat in a high-rise downtown, all glass and polished wood. I walked in carrying Tommy's envelope and my medical records like they were evidence at a murder trial. In a way, they were. Tell me everything, Catherine said, pouring coffee into 2 mugs. I laid it out. The affair, the hotels, the discovery that Kyle was actually Sharon's brother-in-law, that her first husband wasn't dead, but in federal prison, the emails proving Technova's side operation, the medical records showing Sharon knew I was sterile for 9 years and never said a word, the DNA test I'd ordered on Elijah that would arrive any day. Catherine took notes, her expression never changing. When I finished, she sat back and studied me. You want full scorched earth, or do you want clean and quiet? She asked. What's the difference? Scorched earth means we expose everything. The affair, the fraud, Kyle's real identity, all of it. We go public, ruin her reputation, possibly trigger criminal investigations into Technova's operations. You'd win, but it'd be ugly and expensive. And clean. Clean means we use what we have as leverage. File for divorce. Use the evidence to ensure you walk away with everything that matters. Your assets, your pension, protection from any claim she might make. We keep it quiet, seal the records, and you disappear before she knows what hit her. I thought about James, Elijah, and Camila. Kids who'd done nothing wrong, but be born into this mess. Clean, I said. But I want protection. She's been running some kind of operation with Kyle. If there's money involved, if there are people who might come looking, I'll file restraining orders, freeze joint assets, and make sure everything in your name stays in your name. How much shared property do we have? That's the thing, I said. The house we're living in, I bought it 5 years ago when Sharon's first mortgage went into foreclosure. Put it in my name only to protect it from her debts. She doesn't know that. She thinks it's jointly owned. Catherine's eyebrow raised. So legally, she's living in your house. Exactly. That changes things. We can file eviction proceedings alongside the divorce. You own the property. She's technically a tenant without a lease. Texas law is clear on that. Over the next week, I met with Catherine 3 more times. We prepared everything. Divorce papers, financial disclosures, property documentation. Catherine even contacted a forensic accountant to trace Sharon's income and ensure she wasn't hiding money. The DNA results came back on Thursday. I opened the envelope in my truck outside the post office, hands shaking. The laboratory report was clinical and clear. Probability of paternity, 0%. Mitchell Carson is excluded as the biological father of the tested child. Elijah wasn't mine. Not biologically. 14 years of birthday parties and baseball games and homework help. And he was Kyle's son. Part of me had known it was coming, but seeing it in black and white still felt like a gut punch. I called Catherine immediately. Add the paternity results to the file. I want documented proof that I have no biological connection to any of the children. That protects you from child support claims, Catherine confirmed, especially since there was never formal adoption. Legally, you're a step-parent at best, and even that's tenuous. Good, because she's going to come after my money. I know her. When this falls apart, she'll try to claim I owe her for the kids. Not if we file first and file smart. When do you want to execute this? I thought about Sharon's schedule. She had a business trip planned for the following weekend. 4 days in Seattle, supposedly meeting with tech clients. I knew better now. Next Friday, I said. She leaves Thursday night. I'll be gone before she gets back. Catherine nodded. Then we have work to do. I had 1 week to dismantle 10 years of my life without anyone noticing. It was harder than I expected. Every item I packed felt like a small betrayal. Not of Sharon, but of the man I used to be. The man who believed in happy endings and honest wives. I started with the important stuff. Documents, birth certificate, passport, military discharge papers, financial records. I kept them in a waterproof bag in the garage, hidden behind old paint cans Sharon never touched. Next came sentimental items. Photos of my parents who'd passed years ago. My father's watch. Letters from my time in the Navy. Things Sharon couldn't replace or take from me. The money was trickier. We had a joint checking account for household expenses, but I maintained a separate savings account Sharon didn't know about. Money from safety consulting side jobs, a little inheritance from my grandfather, bonuses I'd squirreled away over the years. $53,000. Not a fortune, but enough to start over. I transferred it all to a new account at a different bank across town. Set up direct deposit for my paychecks to go there instead of the joint account. Catherine's forensic accountant helped me document every penny so Sharon couldn't claim I'd stolen marital assets. Tuesday, I found a rental house on the other side of San Antonio. Small place, 2 bedrooms, quiet neighborhood. The landlord was a retired veteran who didn't ask many questions when I paid 3 months up front in cash. I told him I was going through a divorce and needed somewhere fast. He handed me the keys and wished me luck. Wednesday, I started moving boxes. Called in sick to work, first time in 6 years, and made 3 trips in my truck while Sharon was at the office and the kids were at school. Furniture could wait. I just needed enough to sleep and eat. A mattress, kitchen basics, clothes, tools. James caught me loading a box into my truck Wednesday evening. He was home early from his part-time job at the grocery store. Stood in the driveway, 17 years old and sharp-eyed, watching me like he'd just solved the puzzle he didn't want the answer to. You leaving? He asked quietly. I could have lied. Should have, probably. But something in his face stopped me. This kid had been watching his mother pull away for months. He wasn't stupid. Yeah, I said. I am. Because of Mom? Yeah. James nodded slowly, like he'd been expecting this. Elijah and Camila are going to be upset. I know. What do I tell them? Tell them I'm sorry, I said. Tell them it's not their fault. Tell them. My voice caught. Tell them I love being part of their lives. James looked at the box in my truck, then back at me. She's been different. I noticed. We all noticed. I know you did. You're doing the right thing, he said. For what it's worth. I gripped his shoulder, couldn't trust myself to speak. Then I got in my truck and drove away before I changed my mind. Thursday morning, Sharon kissed me on the cheek, perfunctory, automatic, and headed to the airport with her rolling suitcase. Seattle conference, she called it. I knew better. 4 days with Kyle somewhere, probably not even in Seattle. The moment her car disappeared down the street, I moved. Cleared out the last of my belongings. Left the furniture. Left the wedding photos on the walls. Left my key on the kitchen counter with the house deed and eviction papers Catherine had prepared. No note. No explanation. Just legal documents showing Sharon had 30 days to vacate a property she'd never legally owned. I drove to my new place, unloaded the last boxes, and sat on the floor of my empty living room. My phone was still on, but I'd already decided. Tomorrow I'd get a new number. New phone. Cut every digital thread connecting me to my old life. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Sharon returned from her Seattle conference on Sunday evening. I know because James texted me. Simple message. Mom's home. She's freaking out. I didn't respond. My new phone sat on the kitchen counter of my rental house. Screen dark. I'd blocked every number from my old life except James. The kid deserved to reach me if he needed to. The others, Sharon, her friends, even well-meaning neighbors, they got nothing but silence. I picture it clearly. Sharon walking through that front door, rolling suitcase behind her, calling out my name. Maybe she expected dinner warming in the oven, the TV playing in the living room, my truck in the driveway. Normal Sunday night things. Instead, she got silence. She would have walked through the house slowly at first, confused. Check the garage, my truck on. Check the bedroom, half the closet empty. Check the bathroom, my toiletries vanished. Then panic would have set in. She would have grabbed her phone, called my number. Disconnected. No voicemail. No forwarding. Just dead air. That's when she would have seen the papers on the kitchen counter. The house deed in my name only. The eviction notice giving her 30 days. The divorce petition citing adultery, fraud, and irreconcilable differences. And sitting right on top, the DNA test results showing Elijah wasn't mine. James texted again 2 hours later. She's crying. Keeps calling your number. Won't tell us what happened. I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me, the part that had loved her once, wanted to respond, wanted to explain. But the bigger part, the part that had seen those hotel photos and read those emails and found those medical records she'd hidden for 9 years, that part stayed silent. Monday morning, Catherine called. She tried to reach me. Left 4 voicemails demanding to know where you are. What did you tell her? Nothing. Attorney-client privilege. But Mitchell, she's going to escalate. She'll file counterclaims, try to argue for alimony, child support. She can't. The DNA proves Elijah isn't mine, and I never adopted any of them. Texas law is clear. She'll still try, and she'll use the kids to do it. Expect manipulation, guilt trips, claims that you abandoned them. Let her try, I said. I've got documentation of everything. Her affair, the Technova operation, Kyle's real identity, all of it. If she wants to play dirty, I've got ammunition. Tuesday, Sharon found me. I don't know how. Probably called every property management company in San Antonio until someone slipped. I was sitting on my small porch, drinking coffee and watching the sunrise when her car pulled up to the curb. She looked terrible. Hair unwashed, no makeup, wearing sweatpants I'd never seen before. She got out of the car slowly, like she was approaching a wild animal. Mitchell, she called out. Please, we need to talk. I stayed seated, coffee mug warm in my hands. Didn't invite her closer. Didn't acknowledge her beyond looking in her direction. I know you're angry, Sharon continued, taking a few steps toward the porch. I know I messed up, but we can fix this. We can go to counseling, work through it. No, I said. First word I'd spoken to her in 5 days. Please, just listen. I found the medical records, Sharon. The ones from 9 years ago. The ones showing you knew I was sterile and never told me. She froze. Her face went pale. I know about Kyle being your brother-in-law. I know your first husband is alive in federal prison. I know about Technova's side business. I know everything. Mitchell, I can explain. No, you can't. There's no explanation that makes this okay. You build our entire marriage on lies. You let me believe Elijah might be mine when you knew it was impossible. You used me for a decade as your respectable cover story while you and Kyle ran your operation. Tears started down her face. Real ones this time, not the performative crying she'd probably practiced. I never meant to hurt you, but you did. And now you're going to live with the consequences. What about the kids? You're just going to abandon them. That hit harder than I expected. I'm not abandoning them. I'm leaving you. There's a difference. James keeps asking for you. Camila's been crying every night. Don't, I said sharply. Don't use them as weapons. You made this mess. You destroyed this family. Own it. Sharon stood there for a long moment, tears streaming, looking for all the world like a woman whose carefully constructed life had just collapsed. Then she pulled an envelope from her jacket pocket. I got tested, she said quietly. After I saw the eviction papers and the DNA results, I went to a clinic and got tested for everything. She held out the envelope. I didn't take it. I'm positive, Mitchell. HIV positive. That means you. I already know, I said coldly. Got tested 2 weeks ago. Started treatment already. Thanks for that, by the way. That's attempted manslaughter in Texas if you infected me knowingly. Her hand dropped. I didn't know. Kyle never told me. Kyle? You mean Kyle Patterson? His real name. Your brother-in-law who you've been sleeping with while married to me. Sharon crumpled onto my porch steps, sobbing. I watched her fall apart with the same detachment I'd watch a building collapse. Sad, maybe, but inevitable. You need to leave, I said. You're trespassing. Please, she whispered. Please don't do this. I stood up, walked to my door, and stopped. You get 30 days to vacate my house. After that, the sheriff removes you. Use the time to figure out your next move. Because I'm done. I went inside and locked the door. Left her crying on my porch until eventually her sobs faded and her car started and she drove away. Sharon tried everything over the next week. Phone calls from unknown numbers that I ignored. Emails that went as spam. She even sent Camila to my door one evening, the 8-year-old holding a handwritten note. Mommy says to give you this, Camila said, her voice small. I took the note, read Sharon's pleading words. Promises to change, threats to take legal action, desperate bargaining. I folded it carefully and looked at Camila. How are you doing, sweetheart? I asked. Mommy cries a lot. James is angry all the time. Elijah won't come out of his room. My chest tightened. These kids were collateral damage in Sharon's war. I'm sorry things are hard right now. Are you coming back? No, honey. I'm not. Because Mommy did bad things? Yeah, because your mom did bad things. Camila nodded like she understood more than an 8-year-old should. She's been mean to James. Yells at him when he asks about you. Says you abandoned us. I didn't abandon you, Camila. I left your mom. That's different. James says you're the smart one. Says mom destroyed everything and you're just protecting yourself. James, 17 and wise beyond his years, had figured it out. James is right. Can I still call you? Camila asked. Even if you're not coming back. I thought about Catherine's advice. About maintaining distance, protecting myself legally, not creating complications. Then I looked at this little girl who'd done nothing wrong except be born to a mother who made terrible choices. Yeah, I said. You can call me. If you really need to. Promise. Promise. She hugged me quick, fierce, and ran back to Sharon's car where her mother sat watching with red-rimmed eyes. I didn't wave. Just went inside and closed the door. Thursday, Catherine called with news. Sharon filed a counterpetition. She's claiming spousal support, child support for all 3 kids, and demanding 50% of your retirement pension. On what grounds? She's arguing common law marriage covered the children, that you acted as their father for 10 years, and that she's entitled to compensation for your abandonment. I laughed. Actually laughed. She exposed me to HIV, committed adultery, ran an illegal operation, and she thinks she deserves my pension? It's a Hail Mary. Her lawyer knows it won't stick, but they're trying to negotiate. They want you to settle, pay her a lump sum to go away quietly. How much? 100,000. Tell them no. We go to court. I want everything on record. Every affair, every lie, every scheme. If she wants a fight, we'll fight. Mitchell, court means publicity. Everything becomes public record. Good. Let everyone see who she really is. Catherine was quiet for a moment. All right, we go to war. The preliminary hearing was set for 3 weeks out. In the meantime, Sharon escalated. She showed up at my workplace, caused a scene in the parking lot until security escorted her off. She called my supervisor, claimed I was unstable and dangerous. She even filed a false police report saying I'd threatened her. That backfired spectacularly. The police reviewed evidence, found no merit to her claims, and warned her about filing false reports. My lawyer added harassment to our divorce petition. 2 weeks after I left, James called me. Not texted, actually called. She's losing it, James said without preamble. Mom's been drinking. Kyle's been coming around, arguing with her. Yesterday, she threw a lamp at the wall. Scared Camila, so bad the kid locked herself in her room. Is Kyle still there now? I asked, already grabbing my keys. No, he left an hour ago. But Mitchell, I don't think she's okay. Like, mentally. She keeps saying she's going to make you pay, that she'll destroy you, that nobody leaves her. That sounded like threats, potentially dangerous ones. Listen to me, James. If she gets violent, if she threatens anyone, you call 911 immediately. You understand? Yeah, but what about Camila? She's scared. She wants to leave. That stopped me cold. Camila, 8 years old, wanting out her own home. Put her on the phone. Rustling sounds, then Camila's voice. Mitchell, hey, sweetheart. James says you're scared. Mommy's acting weird. She yells a lot. Kyle comes over and they fight. I don't like it. I made a decision. You remember my address? The one you came to with that note. Yeah. If things get really bad, if you feel unsafe, you have James bring you to me. Okay. Day or night. Mommy will be mad. I don't care. If you're not safe, you come to me. Promise you'll do that. I promise. I hung up and called Catherine immediately. We need emergency temporary custody of the youngest child. Sharon's creating an unsafe environment. That's a big claim, Mitchell. You'll need proof. I've got 3 kids who'll testify. That enough? If they're willing to go on record, yes. Set up. Within 48 hours, I had statements from James and Elijah describing Sharon's deteriorating mental state, Kyle's threatening presence, and Camila's fear. I filed emergency custody papers Friday afternoon. The hearing was Monday. Sharon showed up disheveled, clearly unprepared. The judge took one look at the evidence, heard Camila's tearful testimony about being scared at home, and granted temporary custody to me pending full divorce proceedings. Camila moved into my spare bedroom that night. 8 years old, clutching her stuffed rabbit, finally safe. Sharon was ordered to stay away unless supervised visitation was arranged. I'd lost my marriage, lost my family, lost 10 years of my life to lies. But I'd saved 1 kid from drowning in the wreckage. That had to count for something. The divorce proceedings took 4 months. 4 months of legal battles, court appearances, and watching Sharon's life disintegrate in real time. Catherine had warned me it would get ugly. She undersold it. Sharon's lawyer tried every angle. Claimed I'd psychologically abused her for years, that my sudden departure constituted abandonment, that I owed support for raising her children. The judge reviewed our evidence, the affair, the Technova operation, Kyle's real identity, the DNA results, and dismissed every claim. Sharon walked away with nothing except the 30 days to vacate my house. But the real destruction came from elsewhere. 2 weeks into proceedings, the IRS showed up at Technova. Someone, probably a disgruntled client or a whistleblower, had tipped them off about the corporate entertainment operation. Federal agents seized computers, froze accounts, interviewed employees. Within a month, Technova shut down completely. Everyone involved faced potential charges. Sharon lost her job immediately. Kyle Patterson, his real name, disappeared. Rumor had it he fled to Mexico to avoid federal prosecution. Sharon was left holding the bag. No income, no job prospects, no partner in crime. The house I owned was sold to cover legal fees and back taxes she owed. She moved into a studio apartment across town. James turned 18 2 weeks after the divorce finalized. Called me from his truck, said he was done living with Sharon and her drama. He moved in with his girlfriend's family, started working full-time at a warehouse. We met for lunch sometimes. He never asked about Sharon, said he was better off not knowing. Elijah, at 14, was court-ordered to live with Sharon since I had no legal claim to him. But he spent most weekends at James's place, avoiding his mother. The kid was angry at Sharon for destroying the family, and me for leaving at the whole situation. I couldn't blame him. He'd lost the only stable father figure he'd known. Camila thrived in my care, started doing better in school, made new friends, even joined a soccer team. The nightmares about Sharon's breakdown stopped after 3 months. Her therapist said she was resilient, that kids bounce back faster than adults. I hope that was true. Sharon tried reaching out twice in the first year. Once through James, asking if we could talk about closure. He told her no on my behalf. The second time, she showed up at Camila's soccer game. I had the restraining order enforced. Sheriff's deputies escorted her away while other parents watched and whispered. Camila didn't even look up from the field. She'd already moved on. The HIV treatment became routine. Pills twice daily, quarterly blood work, regular doctor visits. My viral load dropped to undetectable within 8 months. Dr. Reynolds said I could live a normal lifespan with proper care. Normal. That word meant something different now. Normal meant accepting I'd carry this disease forever because my wife couldn't keep her vows. Catherine handled the financial aftermath. Sharon's counterclaim for my pension was denied. The judge ordered her to cover my medical expenses, roughly $40,000 annually, but Sharon had no assets to seize. She declared bankruptcy within a year. I never see a dime from her, but at least she couldn't touch what was mine. Kyle's fate came to me through Tommy, the PI who'd started this whole investigation. Kyle was arrested in Tijuana, trying to cross back into the States with fake documents. Federal charges included fraud, tax evasion, and criminal conspiracy. He was looking at 15 years minimum. Sharon wasn't charged. Prosecutors decided she was more victim than conspirator, but her reputation was destroyed. Nobody in tech would touch her with a 10-foot pole. I ran into Sharon once, about 18 months after the divorce. Grocery store, mundane Tuesday afternoon. She was in the cereal aisle, looking thin and worn, pushing a cart with generic brands and discount items. Our eyes met for a second. She looked like she wanted to say something. I turned and walked away. Some things don't deserve closure. They deserve silence. 2 years after I walked out, I stood on my porch watching Camila kick a soccer ball around the front yard. She was 10 now, all energy and laughter. The scared 8-year-old who'd shown up at my door crying was gone, replaced by this confident kid who called me dad without hesitation. James stopped by that afternoon, brought his girlfriend Rachel. They were talking about getting an apartment together, maybe going back to school. He'd turned 20, found steady work as a supervisor at the warehouse, and seemed genuinely happy. We grilled burgers in the backyard, drank beer, him legally now, and talked about normal things. Sports, work, life. You ever think about dating again? James asked while Rachel and Camila played soccer. Sometimes, I admitted, but it's complicated. The HIV status, the baggage, all of it. You deserve to be happy, Mitchell. What mom did, that's on her. Don't let it define the rest of your life. Smart kid. Always had been. Elijah was the holdout. 16 now, living with Sharon in her cramped studio, angry at the world. He'd stopped responding to my texts around the 1-year mark. James said he blamed me for everything. For leaving, for taking Camila, for Sharon's downfall. I couldn't fix that. Some relationships don't survive the blast radius. My work stabilized. Got promoted to senior consultant, traveled less, earned more, built a comfortable life for Camila and me. Her room was full of soccer trophies and artwork from school. We had routines, Friday movie nights, Saturday morning pancakes, Sunday afternoon bike rides. Simple things. The kind of things I thought I had with Sharon, but were actually just illusions. Catherine called me on the 2-year anniversary of the divorce. Thought you'd want to know. Sharon's file for disability. Mental health claims. She's not working, living on government assistance. And Kyle, sentenced to 12 years federal. Won't be eligible for parole until he serves at least 8. They hit him with everything, fraud, conspiracy, tax evasion. He's done. Justice, I supposed. Cold comfort, but comfort nonetheless. I joined a support group for people living with HIV. Met others who'd contracted it through infidelity, medical accidents, other circumstances beyond their control. Heard stories worse than mine. Met people who'd rebuilt amazing lives despite the diagnosis. It helped. Made me feel less alone. One evening, Camila asked me about Sharon. We were doing dishes after dinner, Normal domestic routine. Do you ever miss her? Camila asked, scrubbing a plate. I miss who I thought she was, I said honestly. But that person never existed. So no, I don't miss the real her. I don't either, Camila said quietly. Does that make me bad? No, sweetheart. That makes you honest. She nodded, satisfied with that answer. Resilient. Just like her therapist said. I thought about forgiveness sometimes. Whether I should reach out to Sharon, offer some kind of peace. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. I'd made peace with what happened. Accepted it. Moved forward. That was enough. 3 years after walking out, I sold the old house. Too many bad memories. Bought a bigger place across town with a yard big enough for Camila's soccer practice and a garage for the woodworking hobby I'd taken up. Fresh start. Clean slate. James and Rachel got engaged. Asked me to be best man. Standing at that wedding, watching those kids who'd survived Sharon's destruction build something real and honest, I realized something. I'd lost a decade to lies, but I'd gained something more valuable. The truth about who I was and what I deserved. I wasn't bitter anymore. Wasn't angry. I'd walk through fire and come out the other side scarred but standing. Build a life worth living. Raised a daughter who wasn't mine by blood, but was mine in every way that mattered. Found peace in the quiet moments. Some men break when betrayed. Others rebuild. I chose to rebuild, and that made all the difference.